Hey girl, hey. So this is my face before anything is on it. But I'm going to start off using the Makeup Forever Nourishing Primer, which my dry skin has been obsessed with lately. And moving on to brows. Well, I thought I was doing brows, but anyways, I'll get to that. I used the NYX Micro Pencil in the shade Black, but my brows ended up being a hot mess and I needed to tweeze them, so I just did them off camera. But anyways, moving on, I went ahead and primed my lids using the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in the shade NC15 and using a very light powder to set this primer slash concealer or whatever. But you can use a light eyeshadow if you want to do that too. That works, girl. Yeah, whatever your heart desires. Moving on to the Lime Crime Venus palette in the shade Shell. This is going to be our transition shade. So I'm going to work this into my crease area using a fluffy brush. I'm not being too precise with this because it's a very light shade and it's just going to be a nice little like transition base kind of color. Next, I'm going to go into the shade Rebirth, and I'm going to start off this halo eye, which you girls know I love. A halo eye, I don't know my deal with it is. I'm just obsessed with the shape. So I'm going to start on the outer corner with this color. It's like a hot pink. And I'm working this onto the outer corner, and as the color or shadow starts leaving the brush, I start working it into the crease, kind of creating an arch or a bridge looking situation, I guess. I don't know what better way to explain it. I'm actually going above my natural crease, like my real life crease, and creating a new crease because your girl has some hooded lids going on. So I just create more of, I don't know, it's above my crease, more of like in my socket area, like my eye socket, I guess would be the best way to explain it, even though I hate saying the word socket. Anyways, I'm basically placing this color on the inner and outer corners of the lid and leaving the center completely out. If you guys have watched me do a halo eye before, you've already seen this technique. But for those of you who haven't, you work on the inner and outer corners first and then connect in an arch-like or bridge-like motion, connect the two together, leaving the center area of the lid completely out of the picture, like completely blank. We're not even touching that right now, girls. And then as the product starts leaving my brush, I just gently blend it up towards my brow bone. Going into the shade Muse, we're gonna do the exact same thing. So if you felt like I went too fast before, this is just basically going over the exact same thing, except I am starting a little bit further out when I'm working on the outer corner, so you can still see some of that pink. So basically it's gonna go from the center of the lid, it's gonna be white to pink to this reddish tone. So again, just like we did before, I'm going to work this onto the outer corner of the lid, and then I'm going to start working it into the socket area, forming a bridge or arch-like motion, and then I'm also going to pack this on the inner corner of the lid. Again, leaving that center area completely blank. We'll add white to it later, but right now we're just going to leave it blank. Next, we're going to go into the shade Icon, which is basically just a brown shade, and we're going to start working this on the very outer corner of this look. I guess it's more of a rounded look, so it's not really a corner. We're going to do the inner and outer corner of the lid, and we really want this to fade from brown to red to pink to white, like once it starts going on to the center of the lid. So make sure you just place this brown color with a very small brush, and then you can go through and blend it out. And as I blend this into the socket or crease area, I do not add any more of the brown shade because I don't want it to get too dark in that area, because we kind of want to give that halo effect going on. So here I'm just canceling out some dark circles I got going on using my NYX corrector palette, and then I'm gonna put some foundation on. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth in the shade 110 and the Manic Panic Dream Tone mixed together, and your girl got a little crazy with the amount of foundation she poured on her hand, so bear with me here. Since this foundation is a little bit on the thick side, I do always use a damp beauty blender with it. If you want more of a full coverage, then you can totally use a dry beauty blender, and that usually helps with the coverage there. So yeah, then I'm going into my NARS Chantilly, oh, I can never say it right. Anyways, and then I basically put this under my eyes and towards the center of my face to brighten up the center area of my face. And yeah, and then I'm blending this under my eyes because that's where I pack it on, girls. Then I'm going into my Lunatic Cosmetic Labs contour palette in this super light yellow. It doesn't even look yellow shade, and setting my under eye with it. This is no joke. I basically set my whole face with this. Who am I kidding? But this is like instant facelift. I don't even know, but your eyes look like so lifted after using this. Then I'm going to go into this gray shade to contour with, because us pale girls need a gray shade to contour with, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm basically just working this right underneath my cheekbone area and blending blending it in an upwards motion. The reason I do this is if you pull it down, sometimes you can look like super hollowed out. I also use the same highlighter shade to sharpen that contour right there, so it also prevents me from looking too hollowed out. Then I'm going to dip into 2 blush shades in this palette. I dip really gently. These are super pigmented, so I just literally tap them lightly on my cheekbones. Otherwise, I start looking like a straight clown or something up in here, and I don't want that. So moving on to the lower lash line, I'm going back into the shade Rebirth, and I'm blending this on the inner and outer corner of the lower lash line, leaving the center completely blank. Then I'm going to go into the shade Muse like I did before. We're going to go in the exact same order, and we're going to work this on the inner and outer corner of the lower lash line, leaving the center blank as well. We're also going to blend this up into the outer corner area. Basically, we want to make sure that's nice and blended because we don't want any gaps or spaces in the outer corner, because then it can start looking really crazy and weird, and we also want to round that out there. Going back into the shade Icon, we're going to work this on the lower lash line as well. Start on the outer corner of the lower lash line and work it onto the outer corner of the entire look. I call it the outer corner and it's rounded, so it's really throwing me off. But basically, you just want to make sure when you're working on the outer corner of the lower lash line that you're blending it up into the rest of the look. And also on the inner corner, when you add this color, it's going to look a little crazy at first, but just work with it and blend it out, because once you get it nice and blended out, it really does pull the look together. Going back into the shade Shell, I'm going to use this shade to kind of give a pinky fade to the look and also help me blend out any harsh lines. And I'm using a fluffy brush with this. Then I'm using the shade Aura, which is the white shimmery shade in the palette, which I forgot to film, and I'm using this to highlight my brow bone, and I'm also using a flat brush to apply this to the center area that we left blank. So I'm basically just packing the shade on, and as the pigment leaves the brush, I basically just start fading it out into the pinky shade that's next to it, and it's basically just going to create that halo effect. I'm also using this on the inner corners of my eye and on the center part of the lower lash line that we left blank. Then I'm going to go in with a clean, fluffier, but kind of detailed brush, and I'm going to start blending this out. Then I am putting on mascara and using some lashes. These are Siren Lashes by House of Lashes, which are my favorite of life, especially for a halo eye. Then I forgot to do highlight, of course, so I went into the ColourPop Hippo, which is a light lavender shade, and put Becca Cosmetics Pearl, which is a white highlight, over top. And it was just like ba-bam in your face. For the lips, I'm using Jeffree Star's Velour Liquid Lipstick in the shade Abused, which is basically just a dark purple shade. I'm just applying this here. I applied it first with a brush to outline it and then filled it in with the applicator it came with. And this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. Say hey girl, hey down in the comments box, because you know I love talking to you. Also, I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!